Hello, I'm Mathieu from Ludovox, and today I'm going to give you a brief overview of Conan. So this is a big hit from 2016. It is an adventure game with an overlord for 2 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, and it plays in 90 minutes to 100 minutes, so around maybe 2 hours. So in Conan, we have a scenario-based game. Here I've started a layout of In the Clutches of the Picts, which is the first scenario that you might have seen. So you have many more scenarios in the Overlord's booklet, which is kind of interesting, and you can also experiment and try to do your own scenarios because the game is so wide. You have a lot of content to meddle with. So the aim of the game is, it really depends on the scenario. In this particular scenario, you want to get the princess that the Overlord is going to hide in one of the huts of the Picts, and also you need to take the shaman out. So his name is Zogar Sag, and you need to behead him and to bring his head back to the king. So you need to fulfill these two objectives to win the game. And the Overlord wins if the heroes die or if a certain number of turns elapse. So after like 8 turns, the Overlord wins. In general, the more the time passes, the more the Overlord wins. So players, well, adventurers play, they all play together, they can mix their actions. Conan may do all of his action or just one, then Shivatas might do something else, and the mage, the wizard, is going to cast a spell or whatever. There is no turn order, you can just act until you don't want to act anymore. Then the Overlord is going to act, and then it's back to the players, it's another turn. So what do I do in an adventure turn? So I'm going to take Conan here. I have his character sheet here. Every hero is a bit different. So Shivatas is the prince of the thieves. So he's going to be very nimble, whereas Conan is going to be very violent and is going to be bent on destroying the enemy units. So you have a few free actions. So for example, movement might be free, and we're going to spend those gems. And those gems are the first thing that we're going to look at in a player turn. So first, we decide if we decide to rest and get a lot of gems back, which is energy, or we might act, get a few gems back, but not all of them, and then we may take actions. These gems also serve as health, and if we lose everything, we die and we cannot play for the remainder of the game. So let's imagine that we have these 9 gems here. So I might act and I might take an action. So walking is an action, but it's kind of free. So for example, here I have 2 free movement points and I can spend up to 4 gems to increase my movement. So for example, 1, 2, and then I want to go beat up the serpent, and then I'm going to spend 1, 2, 3 gems and maybe a 4th because there is a door here and it costs 1 gem. So I'm going to take 4 gems and it's going to be put in that square, and I cannot move for the remainder of the turn. Then the same goes for every action. You have some limits. For example, I have a limit of 5 gems for attacking. So I may take 1 or 2 small attacks or 1 big attack. So for example, I could attack with 2 gems. That means that I take 2 red dice, which are very dangerous dice, and I attack with my battle axe, which gives me a 3rd red die. So the dice have colors depending on the number of successes that are in them. So I roll the dice, and then the Overlord may try to defend with the giant snake. So the giant snake has some defense. It has 3 points of defense, so it negates 3 points of damage. And the Overlord might spend gems also. He uses gems for defense, and usually defense is rolling orange dice. So for example, I would spend 2 dice and roll my two dice here. So I negate 3 points of damage because of the serpent, 2 points here, so the serpent is safe and the Overlord is okay with it. So there is also a re-rolling action for both the players and the Overlord, and this is very important. It allows you to spend 1 gem to re-roll 1 die. Once the players have acted, it's the Overlord's turn. So the Overlord first would take a few gems back. So here, 5 gems. I would take 5 gems and put them in my active board. And all of these gems may be spent as energy. I can activate up to 2 tiles from this river. So the tiles are going to have a cost that increases if I go right. So for example, I might activate the blue picked hunters for 1 gem, but if I want to activate the snake, it's going to cost 5. So for example, if I activate the blue picked hunters, I pay 1, I put the tile at the end of the line, spend my gem, push all of this, and then do the thing with all of the blue picked hunters. So they might move, they might attack, they might do whatever they're supposed to do, and they have stats, like for example, they can jump. They can also attack with 2 yellow dice, because it's written here. They have 1 point of defense, they move up to 2 squares, for example. These are the basic units. And the snake is attacking, for instance, with 3 orange dice, which is kind of really strong. So then I might choose another tile to move. So for example, the serpent could attack Conan, and attack works the same for players and the Overlord. I might also activate this. So this is very important. If my units get killed, for example, the blue picks, I could activate this tile and pay a bit more to get to reinforce. And if I reinforce, what I do is that I can put these units back by paying a bit of energy. So they come back. Special units such as a snake wouldn't get reinforcement because they don't have that symbol, so the tile just gets flipped and it pollutes my river, so I cannot use it anymore. The mini is going to be off the board, and it just costs more for everything that I do. And I can pay some gems to remove it entirely from my board, which enables my river to be smaller. So as I told you, the game ends if all the human or adventurers are dead, or if the objectives of the game are fulfilled. And in this case, you have a winner. So you might experiment with the different scenarios. You can play with a certain number of players. For example, the Picts is best with 4 or 5 players, and some other scenarios are meant for 2 or 3 players. It really depends on what you want to do, and then you might try to experiment. Well, you know almost everything about Conan. Well, bye-bye, and see you under the box.